This week on Full Circle Florida, the Florida Effect, how the Sunshine State's influence is on the rise from Washington and beyond. D.C. dysfunction, gridlock at the airports, higher gas prices at the pump, and lawmakers keep playing games as the shutdowns become the new norm. Our Washington correspondent is here to help us read between the headlines. Plus, what do you think about all of this? I hit the streets of Tampa this week to capture your voice. And right out of the gate, let's go to ABC News Deputy Political Director Ben Siegel. Ben, we're now pushing 40-plus days into this partial DHS shutdown with TSA agents working without pay, record airport lines during the spring break, that deadly LaGuardia collision last week, piling on the fear and the frustration. Is there any real momentum toward a deal in D.C. that funds most of DHS, or is President Trump's push to tie it into the Save America Act and voter ID, which a lot of people do support, is that keeping everything stalled?
Well, we usually see two obstacles for Senate Republicans on any kind of agreement. You see the president and what he wants, and you have Democrats and what they want. On this, the president has actually seemed to really let Senate Republicans in the driver's seat. So the obstacle is the Senate Democrats. They want some of these changes that they're seeking to ICE to be codified. They want it to be codified that these agents don't wear masks, that they can't operate in and around churches and houses of worship and schools. But the Republicans so far have not really agreed to some of those things. So that's why Democrats are holding this up. We know as of this morning, Senate Majority Leader John Thune has given what he says is the best and final offer to Democrats to try to resolve this before Congress leaves for 2 weeks for the Easter holiday. And these recesses and the travel do have a way of clarifying the minds of members of Congress. So it's possible we get a last-minute breakthrough, but it's still not looking good as we speak.
Meanwhile, those two Democrat flips in Florida this week, state houses, one, though, right in Trump's Mar-a-Lago backyard, the other in Tampa Bay. How much of a red flag is that for Republicans heading into the November midterms? Is the anger over the shutdowns, the long lines, the rising gas and food prices, and the general dysfunction in D.C., is that starting to hit the GOP harder, or do both parties get the blame?
Well, the party in power tends to get the blame, but it really depends on how long this continues on. I think the big takeaway from Florida, there are two major points for me. One is that Republicans in the state who maybe were considering redistricting this session to help try to protect the Republican majority in the House, this may give them reason to pause that effort, because we're seeing this Democratic enthusiasm that's materializing in these special elections. Democratic voters are showing they're more motivated than Republicans, and that could create some problems for people if they try to mess with the maps in Florida. So this is a warning sign for Republicans. It's just the latest example of Democrats overperforming in these special elections. And it's really the bad hand of the economy and the historic headwinds. The president's party always loses power going into the midterms. This war is definitely doing a number on inflation, on gas prices, and that could only create a worse economic picture that voters may blame Republicans for in the fall.
Yeah, a little more than 200 days until those midterms. Ben Siegel, thank you for your insight. Appreciate it. All right, look, meanwhile, I get it. You tune into the news, you scroll the feeds, and it feels like the sky is falling every day. But, you know, this country has survived a lot in its 250 years. The Revolution, the Civil War, the Great Depression, World Wars, Vietnam, the pandemic, and on and on and on. This week, I went out to find your voice. Talk to me, Tampa Bay. It's time to listen. Tampa Bay 28 listens to you. Can we talk to you real quick? It's been a while since we've aired out our thoughts about things going on in the world. There's so much happening. You've got the war in the Middle East.
Our objective is to defend the American people.
You've got the Epstein files. You've got gas prices going up. You got the travel nightmares at the airports.
Lines are really slow.
The economy. Is any of this on your radar? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just in my head. Let's find out. It's time for your voice. Let's go. What's going on in the world today? What do you think about what's happening? All the stuff. Is there any one thing that stands out to you?
It's just sadness. I mean, that's kind of what I feel right now. It's like there's just this malaise that is over everybody. I mean, you go home and it's just sad.
Oh,
It's ZZ Top.
personal development, boundaries,
Okay.
all those types of
All
things.
right, some more personal reflection type stuff.
Yeah.
Are you
So,
worried about all the things going on? We get the war in the Middle East, the gas prices, the politics, anything of that?
I really don't give.
No, you don't care.
Don't care really about anything. I have
you can
my
finish your sentence.
I have my opinions, but it's one of those. it doesn't affect, there's nothing we can truly do about that, what they choose to do. We can only vote. And then I think from a personal development side of things, go back and touch on that, is I don't think the world can be a better place until each individual also becomes a better human being also.
What do you think about what's going on in the world today?
Oh man, it's beautiful and it's bad at the same time. What can I tell you? We're just trying to enjoy a bike ride, get some cardio in.
I love it, brother. Take care. You know, everything going on in the world. What do you think about it?
It's not great.
Not great? Why?
Just in terms of gas prices, oil prices, stocks, everything like that. Wars.
What concerns you most?
The wars, I guess.
How do you take a break from it?
Doing this, going for a walk.
Good place to go for a walk, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy your day. You're the new generation. What is there anything that you think about, concerns you, that you're optimistic about? I'll take all of it.
I'm optimistic about AI. I feel like it can be very helpful in schoolwork if you use it in the right ways. So
I didn't mention AI. That was a new one. That's also been gaining a lot of traction. I'm not saying this stuff isn't serious. It's obviously serious, but you also have to kind of wink and nod at the world, and we're all resilient. Can we get your thoughts about what's going on in the world today?
You got people that are getting kicked out of our country for no reason. You got just people. It's makes me sad. The first time in my life I've been embarrassed to be an American.
How do you cope with that?
Try to do what you can.
So much is happening right now. What do you think?
I'm very concerned about healthcare. I'm a nurse working in home care, taking care of people that are in their homes and sick and disabled. So I'm very concerned about our government and how they value life of people that don't fit inside the box that we think about. So that's where my concerns are, is that I hope that the value of all life in the United States is really valued and that those services continue.
Sounds like some people in charge need to hear that message. Keep on keeping on, man. Keep on keeping on. The world's gonna turn, and we gotta live.
Next on Full Circle Florida, the real estate reality check. The Tampa Bay market, is it cooling off? Welcome back, everyone, to Full Circle Florida. Have you felt the big chill hitting Tampa Bay's housing market? Vincent Arcuri joins me with the real estate reality check. So I've noticed a few things in my neighborhood. There's this home that's been sitting on the market for at least 6 months now, and the owners haven't really budged much on the price. They've had open houses, but it just sits. It feels like everyone's kind of taken a timeout, both the sellers and the buyers, and it's sort of a stalemate. What are you seeing in the marketplace?
Well, I think the biggest problem is that most of the sellers are living in 2022 and the buyers are firmly planted in today, 2026. So there's a big price differential where people are still thinking that, hey, they're going to hang on and try to get that extra amount of money. But realism is driving the market, and the faster the sellers get to that realization on pricing, the sooner they're going to win.
You know, Florida's always in high demand, especially this time of year. It's paradise, but is this sort of timeout with the hot real estate market, the sort of cool down we're seeing, is that because of the war in Iran, in the Middle East? Is it because interest rates are still rather too high compared to where they were years and years ago? Or is there something else that's underlying this cool off?
Yeah, I think buyers are more driven by what's the payment, what's it going to cost down, and how much is the payment going to be, more so than price. So when you looked at what happened just a few weeks ago when the rates dropped below 6% for the first time, and since I could remember, there was a lot of excitement in the business, and then boom, this war happens in Iran and the rates shoot right back up. So kind of like the balloon started to inflate and then it got popped. You have to keep in mind that for every quarter point that the rates go down, about 1 million people enter the market and now can qualify to buy a home.
And if you're a seller, I guess you have to make the choice: do I want my house to sit on the market for 9 months to a year, or do I adjust the price and get rid of it quickly and I'll make a little less money than what I would?
You know, for sellers, you have to consider, if you're buying another home while you're waiting on your value to go up, so is the value of all the other homes that you may buy. So the sooner they get to reality on pricing, the quicker they're going to get to the finish line and be able to move on with their life.
Time is money, money is time. Vincent Arcuri, as always. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Next, the Florida effect, the state's rising influence well beyond its borders. Let's bring in our panel. He is a reporter from Axios, Tampa Bay. Jacob Reyes back on the show this week, and she is the political analyst who, like the sitcom Cheers, everybody knows her name. Dr. Susan McManus, of course. And we've got a theme this week. It's not 80 sitcoms, although I did have Cheers on the mind. It's the Florida effect. That's what we're calling it. Trump running half the week from Mar-a-Lago, the Winter White House. Rubio's the Secretary of State. He's meeting the G7 this week, talking with world leaders, of course, handling everything from Iran to Venezuela. You've got Pam Bondi at Justice, Susie Wiles, legendary political figure from Florida, running the White House, Sitcom McDill directing the war. Anna Paulina Luna, her stock seems to be rising. She's everywhere, from Rogan to Bill Maher. Byron Donalds, chasing governor with Trump's endorsement. Is Florida straight up running the country right now, or is this just a perfect storm that had been brewing for decades?
I think Florida has always been a microcosm of the nation, due in part because of how large its population is and how diverse it is. But I really think what we're seeing now is actually a result of something that started 6 or 7 years ago with Governor Ron DeSantis making Florida into a Republican test kitchen, if you will, and converting it into a kind of, darling of the conservative right between don't say gay laws, which have been copied in other states, a statewide ban on lab-grown meat. Yeah. Florida's kind of led the way a lot, and I think that, by becoming a thorn in President Biden's side while Trump was out of office, it really positioned itself in a great place to lead the conservative fight.
The Sunshine State's tentacles, Susan, reach far beyond the state itself.
Yes, it does, but let's be realistic. Every president has people around them from their home state. This is not unusual. It's just that when they're in office, everything that happens, everybody knows about it. And there's a second thing that sort of feeds into what you're saying. Everybody has a connection to Florida. They visited here. They have somebody they know who lives here. They buy something from Florida, hopefully oranges, thank you. And my family's oranges.
Spoken like a true farmer.
Yes. So I think that overall, though, that we're overreading the tentacles.
I feel like this state is having a moment much like Massachusetts, say, in the past did with maybe the Kennedy clan, California, Texas. It's definitely in the spotlight and has been. But the good side on this, the upside, what does it mean for everyday Floridians? Does it translate to job opportunities, businesses flocking here? State income tax, obviously we've had that. Real influence in D.C. in the halls of power. Does it pay off for the average person watching this?
The D.C. thing, no. No one has that kind of access. And the average person doesn't think 1 second if they're being represented in the halls of D.C. Right now, they think they're doing nothing up there as it is. So I don't think that. I do think that people do choose this for a lot of economic reasons.
It does bring opportunity in a way. I mean, you are seeing, you saw people move here. It's changed the electorate, even to more Republican. Let's talk about something. I know, Susan, this is your favorite topic, the Florida culture. My wife thought I was crazy for bringing this up, but I'm just going to do it. The GTA 6 video game is dropping supposedly in November after the midterms, by the way. The biggest game ever, set in a fictional island that is completely modeled after Florida, even if they don't call it that. I mean, everyone's going to be playing this thing. They spent $2 billion to make it. Culturally speaking, you also have this Netflix documentary called Inside the Manosphere. It was essentially an expose on bro culture. Many say that had a part in the 2024 election. And a lot of the influence culture is based out of Miami. So what do you make of that it does translate not just into politics now, but culture, like the video game, which I predict is going to be a huge hit, for better or for worse, and even this sort of manosphere, new masculinity, which a lot of people think is very controversial and not healthy, but I'll let someone else have that debate.
Well, the notion that you can really separate culture from politics is pie in the sky.
Yeah.
It's just that what cultural moment is, or what issue is happening at that time. There's no question. I've done some interviews with people that have teenage boys. They're all ready. The manosphere thing is realistic. We saw that there was a micro-targeting to younger males to vote for Trump this last time, and the Rogan thing, as you mentioned, that's real. But the sleeper in all this is, how will the public react to it? Because it has some very disturbing violence, sex issues, and all of that, and it just, raises again the question of what is social media? What is this doing to our youth?
Jacob, this isn't just Florida man stuff. I mean, it's a little bit more than that, right?
Right. I mean, Florida has always existed, I think, in the popular culture mind of like being a place of lawlessness, right? We saw in Taylor Swift's Florida song how she was, coming to this state, running away from something. And, I think, with Carl Hiaasen novels, and this has always kind of existed, it fueled in part by Florida man headlines and memes, etc. But what I see here, though, that's different is instead of Florida being the butt of the joke, I think people really feel a point of pride in being from Florida and visiting Florida and even a longing for it.
It's certainly a lifestyle. I mean, I was born and raised here, as was Susan, and you've been here for a long time as well, right? I mean, this is your home, all your life. All right, so we're all Florida natives. DeSantis, next chapter. Sounds like a guy who's running to me. Went on Sean Hannity, said he's not ruling it out. Sounds like he's going to make a run for president in 28.
Well, he himself said he's thinking about it, or he hasn't ruled it out, which means you're thinking about it.
Right.
But there's a lot that can happen because he goes out in January. How does he keep his name alive and up there if he's going to make a run? And, Trump himself said, well, I might bring him on to my team in Washington, which would, at least for DeSantis, be a way to keep his name up there. And depending on the issue that Trump put him in charge of, it might be helpful. Of course, then that would put him up against another possible Floridian running for the presidency, Rubio.
Marco Rubio. Wouldn't
It's
that be
just all
something,
fun at the moment.
Well, all Florida all the time, Rubio versus DeSantis. But you have questions about the timing of all of this. Is it too early, or is it too late, or is it right on time?
Well, I guess my broader question is what is DeSantis going to do to kind of keep being this popular figure? And I think that we've seen in Tallahassee, his popularity has kind of waned. We've seen a lot of people challenging him. His last legislative session kind of ended with a whimper. If he's not able to continue to deliver on the national scale like he's done in the past, I wonder if he has the popularity to actually make a splash.
There's one thing I have to say. He's leading a movement across the country to get a constitutional amendment creating term limits on Congress.
DeSantis is?
Yes.
Okay, and that would be a big deal. And that would translate, once again, sparking something that becomes a national conversation that originates in Florida. Guys, thank you so much for walking us through the Florida effect. Hang on, I got one more question, plus our final thoughts when we come back.
Really counting on it. But does national mean just the U.S. Senate and congressional, or does it mean state legislative and cabinet races? A big question.
All right. Final thoughts, Jacob. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I've heard from a bunch of people asking me, is this something that Democrats should be to find a lot of hope in terms of these wins? But we've seen in past special sessions where Democrats have pulled off some good gains and then lost them in the general. So I don't know if this is anything to puff your chest about. I think there's a lot of work on the ground that needs to be done in terms of voter registration to really get the party into a place where it's able to fight.
All right, what are you looking forward to next week, Susan? What should we be paying attention to?
More deep dives into these two special elections. They're critical, particularly the turnout. Both parties are going to be studying that to really hone up whether the way they tried to reach voters and get out the vote worked or not.
You want to know who voted and why? Is that what you'd like?
I want to know
into
who
that?
voted, because that's key.
And the runway to the midterms, I mean, yes, it's close, but you're still talking 7.5 months. There's a lot that can. Do you remember what we were talking about 7.5 months ago?
Right.
Seems like the script has changed.
You still got to get people to turn out, and that's key.
Yeah.
Polls don't show who's going to vote. Polls, and people rely on them. No, you can get busy or whatever else. You have to get people to vote to win.
Turn out. All right, Jacob Reyes, Dr. Susan McManus, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching us here on Full Circle Florida. We hope you'll join us again next week. Have a great week, everyone. Take care.